and today I'm going to be counting down every ride at Universal Studios Florida. Now, I'm going to do a separate video for Universal's Island of Adventures in Orlando. This one is specifically going to be about Universal Studios, and there is 12 total rides. There is one additional one, the 13th, but I don't really consider it a ride. It's the Hogwarts Express train, which literally you just go in to get to and from the parks. It's fun, but it's just an alternative to walking at the end of the day, and it's a cool experience if you love Harry Potter, but it's not really a ride. It barely moves more than a couple miles an hour, and you're just watching a screen while you're sitting in it. Let's count down the rides at Universal Studios. We'll go from my lowest ranked to my top ranked, and we will start with number 12. This means my most hated ride at Universal Studios Orlando. So we'll start it off with Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. This might be controversial. I know there's a lot of other rides people might put below this ride, but for me, I absolutely hate this ride. Every time I go in it, I am itching to get out of it. It is a motion simulator ride where basically you go in there and you sit in a chair, and there's a big screen in front of you, and that screen shows a little movie, which is a small story about basically, getting a present at Christmas or something. I can't remember because I'm usually so nauseous and in so much pain that I don't really have a lot of time to pay attention to the screen. The ride is shaky. It's boring. It's almost always got a super long line. And honestly, I can't imagine anyone liking that much unless they're probably 10 and under. I think it's really designed for children, but it's not even that fun. So that is my lowest ranked ride at Universal Studios. Don't worry, we're gonna get to my number one ride soon, but that one is the worst one for me. Now, at one point, that ride had 3D glasses, and I think it would have been a little more fun, but then it also would have been a little more nauseating. I think the worst thing about Minion Mayhem for me is sometimes it actually physically hurts me, my legs, like my thighs or my stomach. I don't know why. I shouldn't, because it's not actually moving that fast, but for some reason, I sometimes get hurt on that ride. So for me, that's definitely the worst one. Up next, my second to least favorite ride, and I had trouble with this one because I really do love the theming for this, but I really get super sick when I ride it to the point where I end up having to close my eyes, is the Simpsons ride over in Simpsons Land. Now, while I do love the Simpsons IP, it's super nostalgic for me. It brings back a ton of memories, and I actually love the queue, like when you're waiting to get on the ride. It smells like popcorn. There's a bunch of hilarious jokes. Like, I think you should just walk through that queue and experience it because it's cool. But the ride itself is a IMAX Dome simulator, which is another motion simulator ride. This park has a lot of those, but this one has like an IMAX Dome-shaped screen, which I guess technically is a nicer screen than the one at Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. But Despicable Me doesn't have the IP that I love as much. Like, I'm okay with Despicable Me and Minions, but I don't love it. Whereas Simpsons, I really like Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror, all that stuff from my childhood. Absolutely love it. So it lets it come a little above Despicable Me, but this ride is really nauseating, guys. Really nauseating. I mean, if you don't feel sick after this ride, you have an iron stomach. So that is why, for me, this is ranked number 11 out of the 12 rides at Universal Studios. So let's move on to number 10. I don't want to spend too long on the rides I don't like, but I, just wanted to give you a good reason as to why I don't like them. And that one is really nausea. The story is even kind of funny on it, but it's just super nauseating. Number 10 for me is Fast and Furious Supercharged. A lot of people have this as their lowest ranked ride. Number 12, not me. I mean, while it's pretty dumb and the story is kind of dated and the effects are cheesy, it does not make me nauseous. And the not making me nauseous moves it up a few ranks. And it is unique in that you're on a bus and you're actually driving through, this warehouse. I mean, you're not in a warehouse, you're supposed to be on the highway, and it's super cheesy and super fake. And, a lot of times I go in there, some of the screen is broken, and so you can't even see parts of it. The movie scenes are really dated. I mean, it's a bad ride too, to be honest. Although I'm sure someone likes it. Comment down below if you like that ride. But for me, it's no good. But it is better because it doesn't make me sick than Minion Mayhem and Simpsons. So I'll give it that. And it is more unique in that you're moving from point A to point B as opposed to... It feels more like a dark ride. It feels more like a dark ride than just a motion simulator. And mind you, I don't hate all motion simulators. There's one that's quite a bit higher on my list, as you'll see. So they're not all bad, but so far it's really been me kind of hating on motion simulators. Fast and Furious feels more like a dark ride. Not great, but it's okay. I think it'd be interesting to tell you the longest I'd wait for these rides, so maybe I'll do that really quick. For Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem, I will not wait more than 20 minutes. If the line says anything over 20, I'm not going in it. Simpsons ride, 20 minutes again. Fast and the Furious Supercharged, Also 20 minutes. So any more than 20 minutes on any of those three, I'm not going on them. So I'll try to add that in as we go for the other ones, but that's my opinion on the wait time that I'm willing to wait for those rides. And I've seen Fast and Furious at like 120 minutes. Don't do it, guys. Do not wait 120 minutes for Fast and Furious. You're better off just going and watching the Pet Show over near ET. You're going to have a better use of your time there. All right, now my number 9 is Race Through New York with Jimmy Fallon. This is another motion simulator, but I do find it funny. Maybe not funnier than The Simpsons, but definitely funnier than Despicable Me. And I do like kind of the pre-show area that you get to sit down in an air-conditioned room. There's like a band playing that you can actually watch live while you wait for your turn in the ride. So it's a nice queue experience. The line experience is nice. It's air-conditioned. It does feel like you're kind of going to see the show. While it is nauseating, it's still up there in the top nauseating rides at the park. It's not as nauseating as The Simpsons or Despicable Me for me. Now, everyone's different, but that's just the way my stomach works. It does not get as sick with Race Through New York. I will say I do often need to take off my 3D glasses in Race Through New York because they, will make me a little more sick. That's a little trick, right? If a ride's getting you sick, take off the 3D glasses. A lot of times that'll lower the nausea effect. But this one is pretty funny. The special effects with the breeze and stuff feel better and more realistic than the ones on Simpsons and Despicable Me, so it gets a little higher rating for me. I would probably wait up to 25 minutes for Race Through New York if I had never done it before. Since I have done it, it's more like 15. Unless it's a super hot day, then I'll wait 25 just to get in the air conditioning. There, theme park hack for you. All right, up next, my number 8 ride is Kang and Kodo's Twirl and Hurl. This is just a standard aerial carousel, kind of a kiddie ride, but it's funny. They talk about eating the park guests, and they're basically saying, come on this ride, it's super fun. And it's like, oh, now we're going to eat you. It's very Simpsons-y and themed, and it's not going to make you sick, and you get views of the park when you're on it. So I think this is fun. There's not much to say about it, but it's a fun little ride that I would probably wait a half hour for. It's pretty fun, but it's also pretty unspectacular and average. So that's why it's all the way down at number 8. There's several better rides at the park, and let's talk about one that's just a little better than it. Number 7 on my list, Minion Blast. It's got a longer name than that. It's like Illumination's Villain Con Minion Blast is the full name. This is a new ride. It just opened. I've been on it, I think, 4 times at this point as of recording this. I'm sure by the time you see it, maybe I'll have been on it more. This ride is fine. It is almost not a ride, though. It's a moving carousel that you stand on a spot and you hold this little gun and you shoot at targets on screens. Now, what I like about it is the screens that you're shooting at are very high resolution. They're very cool looking. What I dislike about it is the little gun you shoot is super heavy, and I want to sit down at a theme park when I get on a ride. If I'm going to wait 40 minutes for a ride, when I get there, I want to sit. I don't want to stand. So the standing on this ride and the holding of the heavy gun makes it feel kind of like a chore, but it's more fun enough that it beats out all the ones below it because it is fun. You can get the app and you can track your top score, and it's re-rideable for that reason. So I do think it's fun, and I think if they could just find a way, honestly, to get the guns to be less heavy, this would rank quite a bit higher. And even better, if they could put some stinking chairs in it and make it an actual ride, then this could be up there in my top 4 or 5 probably. But as it is, it's a 7 for me. Not amazing, not horrible. It needs some work. I think you should experience it. If it was my first time, I would probably get in line up to 45 minutes for this one. Another nice thing about that ride is the line is usually exaggerated as far as the wait time because they get people through it much faster than other rides because you're just literally standing on a dot. So they don't have to load and unload people. All right, up next for me, my number 6 ride at Universal Studios Orlando, and this might shock some people, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. I love roller coasters. I really do. But there is just some roller coasters that I find taxing physically, and every time I get off this ride, I have a headache. It is so rough. Okay, from what I understand, and from what I've experienced, the first row is not nearly as rough as every other row. But it's really hard to pick a seat on that because it's this constantly moving loading station. So you end up just getting the seat you get. They'll assign you a seat. And for me, it's almost never the front row, meaning I almost always get off with like a neck ache, a headache, and it hurts so bad. Now, there's some great elements. The lift hill is completely vertical, which is really cool. Like you basically feel like you're falling backwards as you're going up. It's really exciting. You get to pick music, and the music sounds really awesome as you're going on the coaster, but it's really hard to get past the pain that you're feeling in your neck and head. For me, that is why it ranks all the way down at number 6, because I do feel bad after. I really do. I literally feel bad after. And I also don't love the fact that you have to like put your phone and everything in a locker, but that's got nothing to do with the ride. I will just say it's annoying to have to go through the metal detector. That's why I would put it at number 6. It It is a good ride. I thought it was a Gerstlauer for the longest time, Gerstlauer roller coaster, because they make a lot of these, but it's not. I looked it up. It's something I can't pronounce. It is, I wrote it down. Moorer is the brand that made it. Moorer Sohn. So Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is a pretty intense ride. It's 65 miles an hour, and it's got what looks like a loop, but it doesn't actually go upside down. It's a non-inverted loop, which is a pretty cool feature. As I said, it's a good ride. If that ride wasn't so rough, it would probably be my top 2 at this park, but because of the headache it gives me, I really won't wait more than like 30 minutes for it. I know it's ranked a little bit higher than Minion Blast, but I won't wait as long because it hurts me physically. Even though it's technically a little bit more fun, it's so painful that I won't wait as long, and a lot of times I'll just give it a miss completely. Okay, number 5. My number 5 ride at Universal Studios is actually Transformers The Ride 3D. Now, this ride is kind of basic in a sense that it's almost the same as the Spider-Man ride over at Islands of Adventure, but it's fun. It's fun. It doesn't make me dizzy. It's a dark ride combined with a motion simulator. So it's basically Fast and the Furious plus Simpsons ride plus, I don't know, some better rides. So, and it makes it actually be pretty fun. Now, every now and then it'll jerk you around so much that it's unpleasant, but the majority of the time it's just a good, fun, feel-good ride. It's got like water effects, it's got smells, it's got heat and cool. And it really, like, there's really moments where you feel like you're part of this battle with Megatron, and you're helping Optimus and Bumblebee and all that sort of stuff. So this is a fun ride. We're getting into legitimately fun rides. Now, a lot of the rides are fun. I'm not saying everything below this is not fun, but this ride has very little I dislike about it, and I would wait probably, if it was my first time at the park, I'd probably wait up to, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour for this ride. So yeah, anyways, it's a good one. I definitely recommend you don't miss that one. It is unique, and it's not something you see a bunch in other parks. Now, the Six Flags Park have this like Justice League ride that's very similar, so if you've ever ridden that, it's a lot like that. Battle for Metropolis, I think it's called. Yeah, Battle for Metropolis. Very similar to that, so if you've gone on that, it's a lot like that, and it's my number 5 at Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. Okay, number 4. And this one's going to be controversial. My number 4 favorite ride at Universal Studios is Harry Potter Escape from Gringotts. Now, I need to clarify here. When I first rode this ride, it was my favorite ride at the park. The re-rideability is the reason it's moved all the way down to the 4th ranking. I've probably ridden it 20, 25 times now, and at this point, it is no longer my number 1 at the park. But when I first went to the park, it was my number 1. So if you're only going to go once, this might end up being your favorite because it's super immersive. You really feel like you're in a Harry Potter movie, acting out this Harry Potter. And I love Harry Potter, right? So for me, it was a really fun and cool experience the first time I rode it, and the second time and the third time. But then like 15, 16, 17, you start to notice some of its weaknesses. It's not very fast for a roller coaster dark ride. It goes 25 miles an hour. I think it has one drop and a tiny little launch. As far as like the roller coaster elements, it's really not great. It's a dark ride kind of on speed. And so I think Intamin made it as well, and they make great coasters, and it's super fun, and the theming is amazing. And if you love Harry Potter and it's your first time at the park, it's probably going to be your favorite. But for me, because of how many times I've been on it, for me, it's number 4. I do love it. I'll go on it pretty much every time I go to the park. At this point, I will not wait more than 45 minutes for it, just because I've done it so many times. Now, if it was my first time and maybe only time going to the park, and I don't think I'm going to come back for multiple years, I would wait up to 2 hours for this ride. I really would. I think it's worth experiencing 2, maybe even 2.5 hours. If you end up only being able to come once in the next 5 years, I would probably wait 2 hours for this ride. But not anymore. I'm, a local. I can go whenever I want. I have a season's pass. It's just not worth it for me. 45 minutes, and I'm kind of out. So that's my number 4 ride. Number 3 is E.T. Adventure. E.T. Adventure is the most nostalgic ride of the park for me. It brings back so many memories because I went to this park back when I was a kid, and for some reason, every time I get on that ride, it just takes me back to being 8 years old. I don't know why. It's just instant nostalgia, and it just... nostalgia is a good feeling. It just is. There's nothing else I can say about it. It's just a good feeling. The ride is filled with scents, aromas. When you go into the queue line, you're in this forest and it smells like a forest. It's just this really cool experience. You feel like you're in the movie. You get on the ride and there's multiple different smells as you go. It's like a bike type ride. Very similar to Peter Pan at Disney World. Magic Kingdom, which always has like a 3-hour wait, but E.T. is great because it always has like a 15 to 30 minute wait because it's just not that popular. I don't know. Maybe it's got fast throughput, but it's never got a huge line. And every time I go on it, I leave smiling. So if you, especially if you're my age or older, you're going to probably have a lot of nostalgia for this, and it's going to bring back a lot of memories. My kids don't love it as much as me. They like it, but they don't love it. It's got some really cool moments where you feel like you're in the movie, you're running away on the bike. I definitely recommend this ride. It's my number 3 favorite at the park. Again, it's one I'll go on pretty much every time I go. As far as wait time, I'd wait up to 30 minutes for it. I wouldn't wait much longer because, well, okay, and I always have to qualify this. I personally now will wait 30 minutes. If it was my first and only time coming to the park, and I don't think I'm going to come back for a long time, I would wait up to an hour for this ride. There's not much to it. It really is kind of all about the sights and sounds, not so much the ride experience. So yeah, think like a boat ride where you're looking at pretty things. It's kind of like that. So I would wait an hour, but now I'll only wait about 30 minutes. Okay, number 2, my second favorite ride, and you're going to be able to kind of guess what my number 1 ride is too, but we're going to get to that in a minute. My second favorite ride is Men in Black Alien Attack. I absolutely love this ride. This is a must ride every single time I go to the park. There's been times where I was going to the park for like a food event, and it's the one ride I'll go ride. I have to ride it every time I go. It's accessible to everyone. Like, anyone can ride it. It's not going to make you sick. It's not a roller coaster. It's literally just a dark ride, a shooter ride, where you shoot at aliens, right? And you're in the Men in Black movies, which also has the nostalgia thing going for it, which I love. But everything, there's no screen-based stuff, right? It's just super classic, tons of just set pieces and props and aliens that you have to shoot with your little blaster. And what's cool about it is you can ride it again and again and again. There's 2 different sides, so you have a slightly different experience on each side. And you always are trying to beat your top score. There's even like a Men in Black 900 club for people who got a 900,000 score. I've never gotten that much. I think my top score is 430,000 or something like that. But I absolutely love that ride. I'll ride it multiple times in one day. Definitely recommend it. For me, like, I now still regularly will wait up to 40 minutes for this ride because I like it that much and I want to re-ride it. And if I was coming to the park for the first time, I'd easily wait an hour and a half for it. You let me know in the comments if you disagree, but this ride is just so fun. The spinning, the shooting, all that stuff, the competition with the other people in your cart, all of it is just so fun that it really brings the theme park experience that you're looking for right into the palm of your hand. So love that ride. Make sure you ride Men in Black Alien Attack. All right, time for my number 1 ride. You probably have guessed it at this point. It is Revenge of the Mummy over in the New York section at Universal Studios. I absolutely love this ride. The theming, the ride vehicles, the experience. I absolutely love roller coasters. If you hate roller coasters, you're not gonna love the Mummy ride. Because it's a roller coaster. There's no other way to say it. Just very similar to what you'd get from Aerosmith's Rockin' Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios or any other coaster experience. It goes 45 miles an hour, so it's not crazy fast, but most of the fast parts are in the dark. So it's got a really awesome launch lift hill that shoots you really fast into like the mouth of a mummy. It's got this really cool mummy animatronic that you see multiple times throughout the ride. There's these guys that pop up in actual flames that make you feel like super hot. The whole thing is just an amazingly themed roller coaster, but this does the magic trick of a roller coaster plus dark ride so well that you get this amazing dark ride experience plus this amazing roller coaster experience to create just the perfect ride. And so that is why Revenge of the Mummy is my favorite ride over at Universal Studios. I always ride it when we go. I would wait, if it was my first time going there, easily wait 2 hours for it. Right now, me and my kids, we go there first. And so we almost never have to wait more than 30 minutes. If you make that your priority, then you're going to get right on. But we have, even nowadays, waited up 45 minutes to an hour, even being locals, to go on that ride. So love the Mummy. You got to kind of see it to believe it. You got to get on it. If you can handle roller coasters, you're going to love that ride too. If you can't, then this probably isn't going to be a ride for you because it is a legitimate roller coaster. I think even if you don't like roller coasters, you could probably handle Harry Potter, The Escape from Gringotts, but not the Mummy. The Mummy is straight up roller coaster. Anyways, that's my list, guys. My least favorite to favorite rides at Universal Studios Orlando. If you liked this content, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and really soon I'm going to be releasing a video of my favorite rides at Islands of Adventures. I'm not only going to do Universal Studios, I got plenty of other theme parks I've been to that I can do this for, and I would love for you to come back and see more of this content. Bye-bye.